Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir and I did not expect this comic. I don't recall if I had seen that this was coming out, the Symbiote Spider-Man. Um, but when I happened to glance at this and I saw that Peter David was writing it, I got a little bit excited. This takes place between Secret Wars and when Spider-Man went to the Fantastic Four and found out that the black costume, was actually alive. He thought it was just the technology that the machine up on the Battle World repaired his costume. Although he says in here that he thought it repaired his costume, but it was actually this little ball thing that he picked up that slid over him. So yeah, a little minor quibble there. But this issue, no, this comic, I guess it's the first of a limited series. Is does it have a legacy number on? No, it doesn't. This was really interesting because I'm not sure what prompted this. Why suddenly they decided to do a story in Spider-Man's past at this particular period with Mysterio. Um, for me, this kind of came out of the blue, to be honest. And you know what? I'm really happy it did. Um, so yeah, Peter David wrote this. That's what caught my eye. I was reading Spider-Man. I was reading Amazing and Spectacular Spider-Man when Peter David started up on Spectacular Spider-Man, and then the Web of Spider-Man came a little bit after that. But at that time it was pretty much those two books, and I guess you could also call Marvel Team Up, which was usually almost always Spider-Man with another hero. Um, so yeah, I guess he had a number of books back then. And the Spectacular Spider-Man tended to be more kind of gritty type things. And sometimes I like that book better than the Amazing. But anyway, I guess I'm kind of gushing. I really liked Peter David's run on Spider-Man when he was on the book, and later, he did Hulk, which was really good. I loved his X Factor, and that's keeping with the Marvel stuff. I've mentioned before, I loved Young Justice. Um, but yeah, so I'm like, okay, current Marvel, current Peter David is kind of Um, so let's, take a look at this. What I had no idea what to expect. Kind of Peter going back to the well, and I will say this felt like Peter David's old run. It felt good. Um, it starts off nice and strong. You got Mysterio laying there with Spider-Man yelling at him, come on, get up, get to your feet. I'm not going to punch a man who's just lying there. Um, and and one thing I need to say about Mysterio, he's got the fishbowl helmet, the purple cape with the two eye nipple things, and the padded quilt like green suit. This costume should not work, and I absolutely love this outfit. I went when I saw the action figure. I had to own own a action figure of this. I love Mysterio's outfit. Um, so yeah, Spider-Man is, he strapped him down. Mysterio's sitting there thinking, I was finished. I was out. Why is this happening? And so, we kind of get to, how we got here. So we go back after he gets flung one more time. Um, he starts thinking, Quentin Beck starts thinking about meeting up with this guy, a friend of his from MIT, who now works for the Kingpin. And he his friend even teases him about being Mysterio. That name, Mysterio doesn't cause fear in people. And he asks Quentin straight out, have you ever killed anyone? And he's like, why would you ask that? Because Fisk has. He's a genuine supervillain. A total disregard for human life is part of the package. Sure, I have. How many? I've lost count. You're a lousy actor, Quentin. You always were. So, he's talking to his friend, his old MIT friend that works for Kingpin, and basically he's going to do a bank job. Um, there's a whole bunch of bonds in a bank that he's going to go get, and he's going to rob the bank, and it's going to set him up. His friend doesn't want to be part of it, so he wishes him luck, and Quentin says, "I make my own luck." And so here we see the heist. Um, the bank teller gets a package she thinks from her husband. Turns out it's not. Um, she opens it up and it's just a mask that says, "Put this on." And so the place starts filling up with gas, and people start passing out. She puts a gas mask on, and Mysterio's there, looking all kind of badass. By the way, I feel the need to mention this. The art is by Greg Land, and Greg Land can be such a good artist when he's not being Greg Land. You know what I'm talking about. We'll see that a little bit. Um, and the art on it's really good. Um, so Mysterio, announces his arrival. Who are you? Your worst nightmare. And she looks at him and says, "You're me taking a test I didn't study for, and I'm naked?" In just a beat panel. Just open the damn vault. You know, Normally I would, kind of shoot this down for being kind of silly, ha ha ha. But, in this case, it's a minor character showing that she's a badass. I mean, the look on her face sells it. She's not afraid of Mysterio. And, that's kind of Mysterio's thing. He does it really, as much as has his um, tricks and everything, it's hard to instill fear when you look like this. And so, yeah, I'll allow that joke. And, the beat reaction, yeah, I'll allow it. So, she lets him into the vault, and, a guard interrupts him. And so when the guard asks him to stop, he says, "Make me," and he shoots. But Mysterio, of course, uses his trickery, comes up behind him. But here's the tragedy. We find out that the guard has shot the bank teller. And, she falls down, finds out she's been killed. And, Mysterio is not, he's not a killer. And, he's in the alley there, just, tormented. It really sells this. He just wanted to make the money. He didn't want anyone to die. He didn't want to kill anyone. And so yeah, it's a nice a nice, I guess, example of the character. Now the scene cuts again to Spider-Man fighting the Human Fly. The Human Fly is stealing a piece of art, and I kind of have a little complaint about this here. Now, understandably, when Peter David wrote Spider-Man, it was in the 80s. The World Trade Centers were still there, Towers 1 and 2. And yeah, this is obviously the World Trade Center. You got the tower here, you got 1 and 2. Now, we do know that the World Trade Center went down in the Marvel Universe. So, okay, so yeah, this does take place in the past. However, it has been almost 18 years since 9/11. And, there's the whole sliding timeline, you know, Peter Parker's been Spider-Man, what, they say roughly, 15 years, give or take. He's in his late 20s. Usually that's where they have him, around late 20s, maybe pushing 30. And we know he got his powers when he was, what, 15 or 16? So yeah, even going back that far, the World Trade Center still would not be up. Um, so yeah, it could have been any building, really, especially given the way that Spider-Man takes down the Human Fly, which I'll be honest is a character even I've forgotten about. And I'm usually pretty good at remembering um, old characters. So yeah, Spider-Man ends up fighting him, takes him down, but it has to use the tower um, on one of the trade towers, the transmitter broadcast tower, to take down the Human Fly. So when Spider-Man, captures it, yeah, it's the Scream. That was the piece of artwork that the Human Fly was stealing. One thing, and this is just a minor, very minor nitpick I have about Greg Land's art in this issue. He draws the little squares on the back of Peter Parker's hands, on the black Spider-Man outfit. They're kind of more down his wrist. Sometimes they're close to the knuckles, but they're kind of oblong, almost like candy corn shaped. And sometimes they're way down his wrist down here. They were always little squares right on the back of his hand. I don't know why it's a little tiny nitpick, but I can live with it. Um, and then pretty much the next day we have JJJ complaining about Spider-Man. Yeah, he saved the artwork, but he ended up taking down the tower, which uh, interrupted transmissions for television and everything. And so, yeah, it's typical JJJ complaining about Spider-Man. He can't do anything. Um, so, yeah, JJJ asks, what evil thoughts are winding through his head? Peter Parker's, still asleep and, gets a knock on the door. It's his landlady. Typical Spider-Man at that time, barely able to make rent. And so he hears a voice asks, why do you put up with her? And it's Felicia Hardy, sneaking in through the window. I've always loved the Black Cat. Yeah, not as good as MJ, I will admit, but I love the Black Cat. Um, and he asks her, "Where's your Black Cat costume? You're always complaining about the Black Cat showing up here. You'll be worried I'll be spotted and blow your secret identity. Plus, it was dirty, so I left it at home. And if someone sees you climbing in, then they'll see a crazy blonde." There's no nitpick here. That should have an E. When a blonde is talking about a female blonde, it has an E. Blonde. Peter David, he knows a little bit better to do that, so I'm guessing that's a lettering mistake. Um, I'm nitpicky about that. So, um, anyway, he tries to, excuse me, turn her down, but she agrees to go with him. He has somewhere to go today. So he decides he's going to get dressed, and Felicia asks, "Whoa, where are your web shooters?" The costume itself generates its webbing. That's both amazing and creepy. Watch this. And he turns the costume into regular clothes. Holy cow, what the hell is that thing? Is it alive? Oh no, no, I told you, I got it on Battle World. This machine repaired my costume with this cloth. It's cloth that reads your mind? Well, yeah, it's alive. It's not alive, it's alien technology. Fine, it's alien technology. Good, I'm glad that's alive. You know, I love the fact that Black Cat is the one that's noticing, hey, this thing's alive. That's not normal. And, it's kind of that whole thing that, we see what we want to see. Peter wants to think it's just alien technology that's, helping him. Um, so, yeah, it's knowing what we know, it's really, really a funny scene. And I love the fact that she twigged onto it like that. Oh, and about Greg Land, yeah, we have, his typical porn faces. We have this one, and of course that one. So, but at this point, I think he's drawn these faces so many times. It's kind of like a go-to expression. In fact, I'm pretty sure we could take this and superimpose it up with other characters he's drawn, but every artist has shortcuts that they do. I mean, I'm a big fan of John Byrne, but yeah, you look at he has certain things. So you know what? This doesn't even really bother me that much with Greg Land. I'm happy when he keeps, hairstyles from panel to panel. You would see that before when he was like on Ultimate Fantastic Four. Sue's hair would change depending on what he was tracing that day. But Greg Land can be a good artist, and the art in this book is pretty good. Um, so we find out his big plan, Peter's big thing that he didn't want Felicia to go with. It's the anniversary of his Uncle Ben's death. So he takes her with him. And, he's trying to explain, she's never been into Peter Parker. She's always been in love with Spider-Man. And, she kind of hated Peter Parker. Um, and this is a chance for her to get to see the more human side, the Peter Parker. And he explains that, without without the death of his uncle, that created Spider-Man. You wouldn't have Spider-Man without the death of his uncle. And, the Spider-Man you love wouldn't exist without him. And so, yeah, we get this really touching moment between the two of them. And that's when Peter looks over and sees Quentin Beck. That's Mysterio, looking right at me. Oh God, he knows who I am. How? I haven't the faintest idea, but I gotta find out. You know, he left, but he couldn't have gone far. I'll go after him. I'll come with you. You don't have your costume. Just grab a cab home. And so he takes off, and oh, for God's sakes, Peter, Peter, you couldn't possibly meet my nephew, Peter. Aunt May shows up. So, yeah, I'm gonna stop it here. Because Peter does catch up with Mysterio, but it's not Peter he was looking at. Yeah, I won't give away too much. We do have a nice scene with Felicia and Aunt May, which I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the two of them actually interacting. I'll have to dig through my back issues. Um, but yeah, it's we do have a nice little scene between the two of them, and uh, and yeah, we have the big, and yeah, I don't want to go through, but Mysterio sees something that could be a game changer, and this issue, you know what? I just noticed it looks like Peter has a huge alien brain on the cover there. Another thing about this cover, it's a good cover. It reminds you, yeah, Spider-Man in the alien costume, the webbing came out of the back of the hand. And even though the kind of McFarlane-esque webbing wasn't around then, but this kind of reminds me, this looks like it'd be a trade paperback cover. Um, like when the Symbiote Spider-Man series is collected, that it would be, put, this would be trade, volume one. Um, but yeah, this is good. I like this issue. In fact, this doesn't read like a normal, like limited series. This reads like Peter David back in the day writing the regular series. It felt like just a regular issue, and I loved it. And I'm pretty sure this is a limited series. Because if this is an ongoing, I mean, I am all aboard. Um, which, like I said, do an Untold Tales of Spider-Man, where it's just a symbiote, in that period, doing doing things, and eventually maybe he'll twig on to the fact that it is alive. He has to go to the Fantastic Four, and that's when the series will end. But I if this is a regular series from Peter David, I'm on board. I will love I will follow this book and I will love it. Okay, maybe I'm assuming I'll love it, but if it's anything like this issue, sorry, my splint was catching. If it's anything like this issue, I I'm in. I loved this book. And it's nice to see that creators who have been around for so long that they still have it in them. And yeah, I you hear the excitement in my voice. I loved this book. And yeah, yeah, we didn't need the World Trade Center because, like I said, that kind of screws up the sliding timeline. And but yeah, this issue, uh, this is hard for me to do. With this splint on, I'm doing full noon, full 12 o'clock. This is I'm going to look into this more because I need to know if this is just a limited series or excuse me, or if this is an ongoing. I hope it's an ongoing. I don't know why Marvel did this. I don't know if this is something that Peter David pitched and somehow got to the right people. And yeah, this is good. Pick this up. Pick it up. That's all I have to say. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.